This started after something that I saw on one of the ukulele Facebook groups about people saying about chords that they found troublesome, and of course the predictable ones came up. Our good old friend E, the E major. So I thought we could just talk about the chords. We've done it before, but there's no harm in doing this one again. And in this one, I want to use Ray as a resource. So I've got some hints and tips. And, well, Tang is pretty fluent in the old single string stuff as well. And so people said some chords that they found troublesome. And Ray said, oh, I love them all. Right, so I thought... So
he's going to get me.
I'm going to get you. Right, okay. Because it occurred to me that, you know, the chords people were saying, B flat, knee, etc. I see that on the page. It comes up in a chord chart, and there's nothing that goes between me seeing the chord name and making the shape. You know, I've just done it that many times. It's just completely automatic. And I'd actually forgotten what it's like not to be able to do that. And so that is the challenge that I'm going to set Ray, the first one. Just try and imagine, you know, what it's like for people that haven't got that fluency, because it is a bit of a step away. You know, when you've been playing for quite a while, to try and remember what it was like when you couldn't do it is a stretch. So just try and put yourself in that position. And I did it by trying to make up some chords. So this is part 2, Ray. And the one that I came across is C minor ninth. So have a go at that. There's 2 ways of doing it. The easier way of the 2 is a bar on the 5th fret, and then first finger on the 7th, second finger on the 7th. So you're playing 5, 7, 7, 5. Okie doke. Right, but just go to do a G minor in the same chord and then go back to it. Right, but now just try and making it a different way. And there's a reason why I say this. Do it with your first finger on the G, second finger on the A, and then bring in the middle 2. Okay, and again, go quickly between that and G minor and back again.
Where are you?
This is for Ray.
Oh, only Ray?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, so to the bar, it makes it way harder.
Is this the chord?
Yeah, that's a weird shape.
Is this the chord?
It takes. You're saying it takes you a second to get to it.
That is exactly my point, Ray. And I say this is just for Ray because I wanted myself and Ray to experience that feeling that people are getting when they're trying to make a G minor or a B flat or an E7. It takes that time to think about it, and you're actually having to engage the intellect to find that shape. Mm-hmm. It's purely, I put that in purely for Ray so that we can experience that feeling and know how others are approaching it and how some people just feel all the time.
That's true, because I naturally want to go to this, which is wrong. You got to make sure that this goes here and you spread it apart.
Yeah.
And I naturally want to make this go to that next fret, which is wrong. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's a horrible chord.
Absolutely. Because this is what we've been talking about many times before about keeping the beat. So if you find that yourself, you're having to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. This is how I'm saying how we're experiencing that feeling where you're losing the beat because you've got to get all your fingers going in there. Right. Yeah, that was it. Okay.
Nice. Thank you. That makes sense. And I try to do those things with the kids at school. Like I always tell them what finger to lead to. Like if they're doing a C and they're going to an F, I said, which finger do you want to lead with first? Your middle finger, and then add at the last second the first finger, or do you want to go from C to the first finger to there? I said, because like some of them will do this, they can't decide which finger they want to go to. And because like for them to go simultaneously when they're first starting is tough. So I always say lead with a certain finger. Like when they here go to the middle finger and then the first finger, but there has to be a finger that you're leading to, and that kind of helps them. Like, and I always do that. Like if they go from C to G7, think about sliding down and then adding the other two fingers. So those kind of things help a lot of them.
Yeah, we have to think, where are you going next?
Yeah, exactly. But you have to like decide upon, for your learning style, which finger is the best to start with to go lead to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I say this was just ourselves putting on ourselves, the teacher in the mindset of the student, the beginner, which is not always easy to do. You think, because it's easy to get frustrated and think, oh, well, just do it. Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? And then we have to remember, yes, there's a reason.
I have a question for you. Let's say someone who's not that proficient, and some people don't even want to become that proficient, and they come across a song that has one C minor ninth in it. Is there a substitution that might work? Can you make it another C chord, a C seventh?
Well, the first thing is, let's leave aside, like key substitutions and melodic variations, but the first letter, that is, let's take that as sacrosanct. So if it says C, you want to be playing a C. Okay, there's times you can substitute an F for a D minor and so on, but let's stay in the same key. So let's say that's C, that you've got to go with that. The next thing is there a minor that comes after that letter? So you've said C minor, so you want to be playing a C minor, right? After those two things, everything that comes after that doesn't matter. So if it's a ninth, a seventh, a flat fifth, etc. You can just forget that completely, and just play your basic C minor.
That's great.
Because the notes of C minor ninth, the notes that you're playing with the C minor are contained in C minor ninth. It's only that there's a few extra notes, but that's just fancy and frippery. You'll still get away with the song without them.
Great.
I cheat like that all the time.
Yeah.
C minor.
Yeah. Okay, so there are a few little hints and tricks and tips for making life easier, but let's start with practical examples. Has anyone got a chord that they find is particularly troublesome?
I hate the G minor, but I think I remember part one of this, and you said you can leave off finger number one and just do. No, instead of this is this G minor, right? And you said you could leave off finger number one. It's a little easier.
Yeah.
And then I find what sometimes is hard for people, including me, is that switch from, which is a common one, from E minor to B seventh. But you mentioned you can just walk those three fingers over instead of trying some other thing. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, don't you know, a hamburger for me.
Right. Let's go back to that G minor, because I think it could be one of the easiest ones, but it depends on finger length. Can folk hold up their fingers to the screen so I can see how long your fingers are? Yeah. Short. Yeah. Pretty much everyone's the same here. Your index finger tends to be the shortest of the lot of them. The ring finger tends to be the next shortest, and then the middle finger tends to be the longest. So when you're making G minor, you've got your hand coming up to the fretboard like that, and then it just naturally wants to fall into that G minor shape, I think, there. Because, say, the first finger, being the shortest, takes the least far to travel. You know, the A string. The longest finger has got the furthest to travel, so it will naturally settle on the G string. And then the ring finger, somewhere between it's in length between the two of them, so it takes the string between the two of them, the E string.
Well, that's true.
But to get fluency between the two of these, I would recommend doing two chords that are actually allied to each other, so the D minor and the G minor. As in Black Magic Woman, if you want to add in an A7th. So your G minor position and your D minor position, they've actually got a lot in common, except you've shifted down the ring finger down a fret. But the way that they're going to fall onto the fretboard is fairly similar. So the exercise, if you want to familiarize yourself with G minor, I'd say, would be going regularly, as slow as you like, between D minor and G minor. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. But as slow as you like. Eventually coming on with a metronome. Now, picking up what Ray said, doing things one at a time, I think the easiest way to learn a chord and the making of a chord is the super slow technique, where you take at least 5 seconds and up to 10 to make the change, and really think about it on an intellectual basis. So whether you're moving it one at a time or moving up the whole thing at a time, do it as slow as you absolutely can. Look at where your fingers want to go and imagine them landing on that space before they land there. Okay, so that's one part of visualizing. Once you can do it, a next way I'd recommend to practice fluency, and as we always say, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect make practice. Sorry again, start again. Practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, so there are ways to learn, and the next trick that I would do for doing this is something that I do every night before I go to bed. I keep an instrument up in the bedroom and turn the lights out so it's pitch black, and I just play for a while. So I can't see. So then, if you imagine that you're pitch black or blindfolded, just try making that chord change and visualize the fretboard, visualize your fingers, visualize where they're going to go. Because there's a lot of evidence that actually visualizing techniques and exercises are almost as good as doing it actually for real. David Beckham was doing this. Every night before he'd go to bed, he'd turn out the lights, he'd lie in bed, he wouldn't count sheep. He would imagine taking kicks with his bend, putting it into the penalty box. That was absolutely a David Beckham thing. So practicing without looking.
That's a good way to memorize too.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks.
Now, another technique that I would totally recommend. The bête noire of a lot of people is, excuse me, B flat. A lot of people tend to find that difficult, and I suppose it is one of the reasons is because you're right on the first fret, and you've got to do 2 strings at the same time. If you don't do a bar, and doing a bar again, the pressure to get down on the first fret is greater than anywhere else on the fretboard. Up here, unless your action is incredibly high, the strings are more bouncy, but down here you can have to press that a little bit harder. So if you find B flat incredibly difficult, I would recommend detuning the ukulele, taking it down a tone or 2. So you'd go to say F, B flat, D, and G. So your strings are a lot slacker, so you've got a lot less pressure that you need to exert. And if it turns out that it's very, 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 very much easier to do it that way, you need to be taking your ukulele in for a setup because your action's too high.
So you prefer making that B flat using because I often bar it, but you prefer pressing 2 strings with the finger number 1?
There's times when you want to do it one way, times when you want to do it another. I'll switch between the 2.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there's reasons, yeah. I mean, for similarly, if you're doing it with the 2 fingers across, as you say, if you were moving to one of these B flat, it depends what you want to do with your little finger, and it depends what your next chord is. Those are the two things.
Okay. There's another chord that looks like that often, it's not hard when you think about it, but sometimes doing it causes me, or thinking about it causes me great stress. It starts like that chord. You press two strings with this finger, and then this is a jazzy sound.
G minor 7.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds nice, but in the same thing for me, usually what it is going from, it's not making the chord. I can do I can do many tricks on the ukulele one time, but repetitive or coming from someplace else seems to be the problem. So let's say I'm here, C. Then I go there. So it seems like, oh, that's working now. And the same thing with the G minor. Often you'll go to from C. When we were doing it from starting with our natural fingers, it lined up pretty well. But if I'm here, la 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 la. So C, G minor. So it's just a matter of practicing the walking, huh? The walking your fingers.
Right. And the way that most people practice a song is they use the technique of bulldozing. So you start at the top of the page, you carry on through until you make a mistake. And then they go back to the beginning, carry on through till they get to that bit, and to make that mistake again. So they go back to the beginning, they get through, they don't make a mistake, carry on, get to the next bit, make a mistake, stop, back to the beginning, and all you learn is how to make mistakes. So what we're doing is we'll break it down into sections, carry on through, get to where you make that first mistake. Is it a change? Is that mistake, is it a change from a C to a G minor 7th? Right. You fluff it, stop, and then just spend the next time practicing over and over and over and over again. And once you've got that, yes, okay, go back up to the beginning. And then when you're coming up to that bit that you spent that time on, you don't think, oh no, this is where I made a mistake. You think, aha, this is the bit that I've practiced over and over again. I know how to do this. I can smile and carry on then. Yeah.
You know what I've heard expressed by people in our group, and I even feel it sometimes myself. Many of you guys have a very high level of skill, and so sometimes we think, oh, we're gonna screw up in front of these guys, and they get nervous. They don't want to play around people with more skill. I talked to someone last night that was my number 2 in the Strummers. She said, last time I went, the people are so skilled, it made me nervous. I'm not comfortable. And she's pretty capable. And I feel that too. I play much fancier stuff by myself, but then if I do it for you, I start to think like you just said, oh crap, I gotta go here. You just divorce yourself from that? Because I know you guys play in front of Jake Shimabukuro. You just divorce yourself and just do your performance, right? Focus on you.
I think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, no matter who you are, playing in front of other people that know something about the instrument makes you nervous. For myself, like when I played at the open mic at the Tampa Bay, the T-Bug a couple weeks ago, I did Angie, which I know, and and my fingers just did not seem to work as smoothly and fluently as they normally do, because I knew I was like, it's like you get one shot in front of all these people, and so I was nervous. I mean, it's like no matter who it is, I think everyone you could be intimidated. Like it's little thing, I always call it choking, where your fingers just don't move the way they normally do. They're a little bit shaky, you know.
Right, right. I think that's good to express that, because a lot of times for new players, we don't realize that you guys feel it too, and you've been playing a long time. We think, why do I get nervous? But you're
Well,
right. It's kind of
I'll
part
be
of the
totally
deal.
truthful to you. Like that's what made me change in college from being a guitar major to a voice. When I went to college in a 2-year school, and I was a guitar major. And, you know, as a guitar major, you have to play classical guitar by yourself. And I just never felt like when I played totally by myself, I never felt like the chords were clean, the chord progressions were clean, and I was always nervous. And and when we would do jury performances, there was all these vocal majors that were freaking out, like, oh my god, I got up at 6 a.m. so I could warm my voice up, and they're all freaking out like crazy. And I thought, you know, singing's easy. I just sing, and it's like easy to do. So I took a 5-year break from college, trying to, you know, doing professional bands. When I went back to college, I said, heck with it, I'm going to be a voice major, because it was never nervous to me. And that's where I ended up, you know, being a voice major, because of that, what you're exactly talking about, that nervousness of playing by yourself. It's tough.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Great points there, Ray. Yeah. And you're right, Rocky. Yeah. Jake Shimbabukuro, he's actually been to see me play. So that was amusing. So,
Nice. And you know,
Wow.
I asked Tang about this once, because especially when we had our guest from Taiwan, it was a very high level of skill. I said, you know, I'm not trying to screw with anybody. I just think we need to address our emotions are part of our fingers in this stuff. I said, how does that make you feel? He says, I feel fine. It's not a competition.
right. And you have to decide, what are you doing? Is it a recital or is it a performance? I don't think myself as a musician. I think myself as an entertainer. So people are on your side. So I was just looking for a book on my shelf there, and I just remembered I lent it to my son. It's a book called Stage Performance by Livingston Taylor, who's the professor of music at Berklee College of Music. It changed my life completely. Just reading that. In a nutshell, it says that the people who you've come to see you, they just want to be entertained, but they want you to succeed. And if you do mess up, if you do fluff a chord, don't stop. Keep on going. Keep the beat, because the beat is what people respond to. If you fluff it, it's an out and out mistake, smile and just carry on. Because if you stop and go, the audience will be sat there thinking, oh dear, you know, that's a person who can't forgive themselves. You know, will they be able to forgive us for anything? But if you can show that you can forgive yourself, they think, oh, they're nice, you know, I like this person. You know, the audience want you to succeed. That is the simple truth of it. The other thing, if you're playing something a little bit special, there's a great temptation to play your fanciest, most complicated stuff, show off your twiddly skills. And that's the last thing you want to do. You want to play the simplest song that you know, the one that you feel most comfortable and confident with, the one you know you can knock the ball out of the park with. Then you've got confidence walking on stage.
Excellent.
Great.
It's a slim little volume. It's quite cheap, and honestly, I can't recommend it highly enough.
And you know, I'll try to find it on my own. If I can't, I'll ask for your help. But I think on the Strummer site, I would like to post that video clip you sent me one time of this fellow, Livingston Taylor, actually teaching. And he would take very high level vocal students, and he'd talk to them and say, and give them some tips and say, try it again. And it was like 10 times better. So I think if we find that, we could post it on the Strummers group. I think it's worth a look.
Definitely. It's James Taylor's brother, by the way.
Oh, that's where I recognize the name. I saw he played here in Pittsburgh for a free concert.
Ah.
He sounds just like his brother.
Yeah, he does. He does. Okay. Any specific, chords that we might have some little tricks up our sleeve to make
E
easier?
major. E major. I struggle with it a lot. E major.
How do you try to do it, Neha?
Oh, I usually do this. I struggle with this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely full kudos and 100% that you're not trying to do a cheat in any way, because a lot of people do E7 and say that works. Sometimes E7 will work, sometimes it won't. Sometimes E7 is actually better than E major, and sometimes it's totally not. But yeah, what you're doing here, you've got I've got fat fingers, so I've got a lot to try and squeeze in that space. But the chord that you're making is a genuine E major seventh. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. It's got all the right notes. It's just that there's not so very much space to do it. It's a bit like
Exactly.
like the D. If I'm doing a D, I'll actually, rather than put the fingers in succession,
Right.
I do the same there, but then bring the middle one through. I just find it easy to squeeze my fingers in there.
For D, I can often get away with one big fat finger for D.
Uh, I can never do that. That doesn't
Okay,
happen even if I try.
right, okay. Well, what Rocky is doing there is actually a D seventh. So
Oh,
Oh,
it is.
yes,
What do you mean?
I thought D7 was
that's
this.
a D seventh.
No, I was doing a D. No, I just use one finger to press those three strings on fret 2.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
I just
No,
smash them
that's
with
fine.
one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a
Usually
D.
I get away with no buzzing, but sometimes it buzzes.
Yep, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to smash out a big chord, and not play that one, you're gonna be struggling with it there.
And so for your G, and I think Tane told me he does a similar thing with his fingers to make the D, because he can't, his fingers won't smash all three. So he does like you. So you could make like a G or a G seventh to press all the notes on the D, right? The shape of a G.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I
Where you put your fingers like you showed for the D. You can do them any way you want to block those three.
right. Okay.
Right.
I think it really, really, really is worth doing what Ray's doing here, and learning to do the proper E with a
Hey,
complete.
can I jump in here? Can I jump
Please.
in for Shuba? Shuba,
Shoot!
God, he's been at the laughing gas again.
oh, Neha.
Neha.
Sorry, Neha. Sorry, Neha. Neha,
That's okay.
I have had some
That's
success.
okay, Eddie.
Miss Neha. Give me
Mhm.
everybody. I have had some success instead of using all four fingers, just using two and using. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Finger there, and then the second finger barring these guys, you can practice that, and with just kind of an arch. That finger kind of ends up looking like that.
Yeah, I do that too. It hurts, but I do
I mean,
it.
like, it's very hard to change it. I know that can be done because
Yeah.
I've possibly tried every combination though. But I struggle when I have to change the chord though. For
Mm-hmm.
example, let's say that, from E, I have to go to G. I mean, like, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I have a question. And I'm sorry if I cut you off, Neha. You can go back, but I have a question for Liam. Um, that's another mic name substitution. As long as we're talking about chord substitutions, we could do name substitutions. So Liam, what about barring 4 and then putting the little finger on 7? Is that an E?
This is what I'm coming round to. That is the absolute best one.
Oh, and you can call me Ricky.
Okay, Mocky. All right, okay. And I really do think that is the only one that you need. And so as Rocky's saying, a full bar across all 4 strings, and then bringing down the little finger on the 7th fret there.
And you know what, Ian? What I started my kids on the D instead of teaching them the regular D. And what people don't realize, so if you're playing that bar chord and you don't have this part good, as long as you get this note, then you can just be sloppy with that bar chord or the D bar, but you're getting this. If you can get this, which is easy to get, the rest of the chord can be a little, muted. So the bar chord I use all the time. Then you can move. A lot of songs go from E to D, depending on rock songs,
Absolutely. What Ray said there is so valid, because the note that's underneath your little finger is the E note, which is the root of your chord. But I am aware that some people find difficulty with that bar. So let's just talk about how to make that bar a little bit easier. And first of all, you've got to think about a note. Let's bring your finger down to get extra pressure. We shouldn't be having to do that.
We should be, or we should not be doing that.
We should not
up
be
3
doing.
fingers.
We should not be having to bring that other finger across there. We should not be having. We want that finger. We need to keep that finger in play. So it is not like the finger is absolutely flat down at 90 degrees, but you're rolling it across the way. Hang on, get the angle. Rolling it ever so slightly down that way.
Ian, that is easier. That's easier than what I've been doing. Thank you.
So that's a question I have. I always confuse that. So to make a bar, you roll the finger, but you roll it towards the headstock. You roll it this way.
Yeah. Right. This is my finger. So I'm not making contact with the ukulele, with the absolute flat. I'm doing it ever so slightly with there. That's where I'm making contact.
Oh.
Not
the edge.
Not the absolute edge, but just slightly midway between. Yeah. So
I see. I see.
As if you were opening up the hand that way, there, and it's making pressure, and it's putting pressure on. Okay. Now, the next thing that you can do to make life even easier, normally we want to keep away from the soundboard, because if we're pressing on, it's going to stop it vibrating and muffle the sound. But here, I think it really does help. So if we put the ukulele against your body, we're going to use the body as the fulcrum. One point being the chord, and the other point being the inside of your hand, of your forearm, on top. And now, if you press down with the inside of your forearm on here, it's going to press it against the ukulele and bring it forward naturally. So if you give a little bit of pressure, it's going to press on. So here, look, I'm not even going to use my thumb. There's the chord, there's the bar. Right. So I've got a chord. I don't even have to put my thumb round the back. I will put my thumb round the back, you know, because that makes my life easier. But it's just purely to demonstrate that just that little bit of pressure makes it so much easier to play your chord. So just give that a try. Just press it in.
Yeah. I love that, Ian.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's a very good tip, because you can end up if you don't do this stuff. You know, I'm pretty much self-taught. There wasn't a lot of resources 20 years ago like there is now, and if you do that stuff, I don't want to say improperly, but if you play a lot and you're putting pressure on your thumb, you can end up with trouble. That was my first surgery. Was here.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a problem from doing archery. I've got arthritis at the base of my thumb. So anything I can. But so yeah, so you can play. You know, just you can even tuck the thumb away.
And another question that comes up with chord making, and this is probably a good place for it, and I've asked, because I love to teach absolute beginners and just get them going, then they can go away if they want to go forward. And the question comes up, you see some players rest the uku in the, pardon the expression, crotch of the thumb, and then you see other people that always stay up on the thumb. And you get different answers, even with high level of players. You say, do you always stay with that thumb? And some say yes. And then others say, including Craig Chi and his old lady in their lessons, they say stay in the crotch here as much as you can, and use your fingers. This way your wrist stays in a natural position if you can do it. Come up when you need to. So what do you think about, you don't always, I mean, on these type of chords, like a bar, the thumb helps, but on a lot of other chords, do you not use the thumb like that?
Right. Most of the time, I keep it at the back.
Oh, you do?
It's so hard most of the time. Sometimes I'll bring it in, but there's a lot you cannot do unless it's at the back. Tang, sorry.
No, I mean, Rocky, did you just say you mean where should we put the thumb? In the back or just a little bit higher?
Yeah, tell us what you like. I've heard it all different ways. Some have their thumb showing up at the top, and
yes.
then others have it on the back, and then some people just rest it.
Yes, I understand. Yes, since I'm the classical, I play classical guitar, so I would say, I always say keep your thumb strike right in front the neck, right in front of the neck, not like this, not this kind, but right in front of the neck, and just hit hiding behind. So you have more space here in your palm. You have more space. You can do very different angle, different type of things. The most important thing is you have to keep your here space here.
Oh,
this
so
side.
you keep that open. You don't lay the ukulele in that space.
Not like this. Yes, not like this. And what I say, you see maybe some also the professional, high skill ukulele player, they play like this. Yes, I would say it's not wrong, but I think it's easier. Like do you like the when you play basketball? Basketball is the right position, right position, and the right technique is very important. Or as long as you can shoot, you can make a score. As long as you can make a score, and the right position and the right position is just make you easier to get a point. So it's not
Yes.
nothing wrong, but some maybe some position and some will be easier. So I think if you leave in the palm here, you leave space, it will be easier to go anywhere, any position, any angle. I can go I can go like this. So I always keep the thumb behind behind the neck, like here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
totally agree. I mean, I do slip down occasionally, but there is a lot of the time where it's got to be at the top, and you can think of it as making this sort of a shape there and closing round on it there. So it's a complete O with a hand.
And also, does everybody use? For the first many years, I never used a strap, but many people find a benefit with the strap for this kind of stuff because otherwise you end up holding the ukulele with this left hand, and it gives you some extra problems with your chording and some extra stress on your fingers if you have to hold up the ukulele with your left hand. And Ian, I want to ask you. I notice a lot of times your ukuleles have a bottom strap pin, and then you tie it to the neck, and a lot of people have it the second pin at the whatever this is at the base of the neck. Does it matter?
No, not a jot.
So I'm sorry, I had interrupted. Nehat, did that help you with the E?
Oh, yeah, it sort of did. Plus, I'm like, sure. I'll have to try it out, of course. With different songs, I'll have to change the chord and see what really suits me. I mean, like what Mike taught me, that worked. That actually helped. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Eddie.
I like that one, Mike. I like that.
Yeah, one more. A flat. A flat.
A
Oh, yeah.
flat.
This kills me. This kills me. It's a struggle.
How do you do it? Right, okay. Personally, I find that again so much easier to do with a bar chord. So,
Yeah, that's
so what I'm doing is I'm doing an F shape.
okay.
Sorry, there we go. That's it. I'm
Okay.
doing an F shape, but I'm doing it with the ring and middle fingers.
All right.
So that's just basically an F there, and then sliding it up one semitone, and then dropping the first finger right across the first fret.
So it's an F shape, but you bar. Is this it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And again, because you're on that first fret, If you press down with your forearm, again, just to bring that forward, it's going to make it so much easier to do, because here I am, my thumb, I can even do it without the thumb. Thumb, of course, around the back makes it easier, but a little bit of pressure inside of the forearm, bring that ukulele forward, bring the fretboard onto your fingers.
So the little finger is working on this? You have the little finger on string 3?
No, I'm not using it at all.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Okay, I'll tuck it around the back. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna touch my little finger and my thumb there, so I'm not using them at all. Sorry. And then again, it's practice.
This is going to make life easy for Mike.
So
we just
find another chord that goes along with your. Oh, there's some good homework, isn't it, Neha?
Yeah, that's going to be good for Mike.
Right, if you go between A flat and E flat with your instead of the fourth, but do it with the fourth. Just practice going between those two, and you've got a good.
What is that, E flat?
Right.
Did you do an E flat? What is that?
Bar.
Bar at 3?
Yeah. Bar on 3. Or even another one if you can go to is your A flat and a D flat. You're keeping your bar on all the time, so you're basically using your finger as a capo on the first string, and then you're going between F and C.
C? That's not a C.
Yeah. It's a C shape.
C sharp.
C shape. You see how it's a C shape, Rocky?
C sharp, yeah. Yeah, it's like a C, yeah.
It's a C sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a C sharp, yeah.
These are great, actually. Maybe I should be writing these down. A flat is a good one. We'll do them later. If I have any questions, I'll write you. Maybe we can post them. So you did an A flat and you did an E flat?
Right. Rocky, this is just the caged system. So, Ray will know about this there. All it is, if you take an A, put it with a bar, A, B flat, B, C, D, E, etc. That's an A.
Yeah.
B, it's not so good. You can't do so much with. C, you certainly can. C, D, E, going up all the way. A, B, C, D shape is the same as the other one. F shape. G, A, B, C.
C, yeah.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G. Yep. For that one, I'll bring the fourth finger across. G, A, C, etc. Just shaking up G. A,
what is that one? That last one you did?
G. Just go through the letters of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Chords. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So use the shapes that you would do in first position, but just move them up with a fret. So that F, we just, and they call it, in guitar world, they call it the cage system because those are the C chord, the A chord, the G, etc.
It's basically movable bar chords, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
C, D,
Yeah,
A.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Any other questions or comments,
Yeah, this was great.
I have one question.
Martin?
Yes. Today I encounter one song with the chord progression, including A major, D major, E major, and because you show to Neha the way to change from D to E is very easy. So I figure out how to play that chord progression very smoothly, like this one, A, D, and E, and very easy for me now. But in that song also have a one chord progression that contain E, E7, and back to E.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder
I've seen that too.
how we cover the E and then E7 and then go back to E from
Right,
this position. Yeah.
Oh, Christmas. There was an American tourist got lost going around Ireland and asked this Irish guy how to get to Dublin, and the guy said, "Well, I wouldn't be starting from here, sir." So
You
I
can't
wouldn't be
get
starting from there, Martin.
you can't get there from here. We used to tell them when I worked at the gas station in 1975. We had this old man, and he would use that same joke. Some guy would say, "How do I get here?" And that guy would tell him, "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't get there from here."
Mm. Mm. Right. If you really want, you can do it, but I wouldn't. You know, you can, because that's involving the but.
Oh.
Yeah, you can play any. It's basically like your D7 and shifting it up. That's keep you creeping there. But it's just making work for yourself. If you can do that bar, we're going to use the cage system here. We're going to use the C shape, C7. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to do an E7. And it's such an easy change to make. You can do chords.
This side.
You can
Right.
do the C, E, E7, E6, E5.
I got you. You're just walking down
He
that
had
little
9.
finger. You're walking that little finger down.
Okay.
That's how I do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So you can make you can do different stuff there. So the same, it's similar to like if you made a D7th when you were talking about the cage system, you walk that up too, right? So if you make a D7, so you have an E7th.
Sounds right.
You know what I mean? You just another one of those movable bar chords would be the shape of the D7th.
You can do. Yeah, you could do.
So you can do your E7th here. Right?
The one I use all the time is actually the E7 shape, but sticking the finger in the air. This is probably the chord I use more than shape I use more than anything else. Exactly like your everyday bog standard. I'll do it with the second finger, and then coming up I'll bring the first finger. Okay, it's like an F, and then add in the other 2 strings on the 3rd fret. So F7, G7, A7. Absolutely love that chord. And then just drop it down one more to go from that F7 to an E, just taking the first finger off and sliding it down.
Oh, gotcha. So you were just sliding the F7th.
Yeah. So much you can do with that.
Okay.
But instead of going down from F7, so if you wanted to get to E7, you wouldn't go. You could just drop it down.
Oh, gotcha. So this is an E7 too?
Yeah, that's E7. You're just using different fingers than usual.
Gotcha. Wow, interesting. and then Ray, I think Ray, will you in December? And I don't want to take away from the workshop, but sometime in December, Ray, me and you talked about you showing the keyboard and showing how that middle third changes. It makes a big difference in chord structure. It's harder to see on the ukulele because the ukulele doesn't go from low to high, but the keyboard does. I got stumped in some chords, and I talked to Ray, and he just pointed his camera at the keyboard and showed me what happened with that middle third, and I'm like, okay, goodbye. It was great. So sometime in December, would you do that for us?
Sure. On the keyboard, you mean?
Yeah, 1, 3, and 5 is much easier than on the ukulele because of the way it's set up. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. G, where are we?
Unless anyone's got any burning comments or questions, I suggest we sing a song.
Okay. How about a hand for Ian? I love these workshops. These are terrific. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
And made a heart shape. Oh, there's one.
And thanks for the help, Ray and Tang. Great contribution.
Let me unpin you guys. As long as we have you, Martin, you want to do the first song? We'll try to get one set in. Probably we can do today.
Yeah. I will play. I will play the song that I just asked you, and this one is called "Just When I Needed You Most." You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You back in the morning, I stare out the window, I struggle for something to say. You left in the rain without closing the door. I didn't stand in your way. Now I miss you more than I miss you before, and now where I find comfort, God no. You left me just when I missed you, just when I needed you most. Cause you left me just when I needed you more. Now most every morning I stare out the window, I thinking about where you might be. I written you letter I like to send. If you was just sent to me.